Yeah, so I noticed that here at the beginning of Bounty Hunters, it says in memory of Akira Kurosawa. And he's the director of that movie, The Hidden Fortress, which George credits partly as inspiration for Star Wars. The only thing that confuses me is that Kurosawa died in 1998, and this episode in season 2 aired in like 2009. So it was like the 11-year anniversary of his death, maybe? I don't know. What I'm wondering is possibly the episode of Bounty Hunters is maybe, again, taking from movies or stories that Akira Kurosawa told in his own media.
Did he do Seven Samurai? Or I might be remembering this wrong, but I thought this episode was like a tribute to the Seven Samurai or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was, yes, Seven Samurai, the 1954 drama film, was co-written, edited, and directed by Akira Kurosawa. So that's probably then why they're doing this episode in memory of him. That's pretty cool. And now on to the reason we are here. Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a reminder that chronologically, this episode comes right after the Holocron Heist, Cargo of Doom, and Children of the Force episodes with Bane trying to kidnap the children for Sidious. So it comes before landing at Point Rain and Weapons Factory and such like that. What we wrote in the argument against Ahsoka is that Ahsoka wrongfully accuses Anakin of being a bad pilot. She takes charge of Anakin and Obi-Wan, again, a role reversal. When the bounty hunters catch them off guard, Anakin's reaction is to play it cool, and he has to stop Ahsoka from immediately acting hostile. She gets angry when the bounty hunters tromp on her ego by not counting her as a threat. And because she's not prominently featured in this episode, the writers make sure to take time to showcase her as a hero by having her help Serapis out of a vaguely unsafe situation. Season 2, Episode 17, The Bounty Hunters. Courage makes heroes, but trust builds friendship. Do we need to go back and cover A Friend in Need again?
Oh, well, we're going to, so...
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
It's already been established that Ahsoka does not trust Anakin. But Anakin had to learn how to trust Ahsoka because, she's so trustworthy.
Vulture droids.
Why always with that immediately to this type of voice? You're pure disgust and anger and yeah, so instead of her saying vulture droids, it's just like, oh, vulture droids on her, and then she says the direction or something like that.
I guess we know what happened to the medical station. That's not good!
I find it interesting that Obi-Wan is kind of doing the whole stating the obvious thing, and this isn't good. It's like, oh really, Obi? Thanks so much. I was actually going to say it's Obi-Wan must be liking this because, Anakin has to drive and Ahsoka has to do the assisting part, and he just gets to sit in the back and be a passenger and just enjoy the trip. Yeah, so far there's been nothing wrong with the opening from my perspective other than her tone when the vulture droids show up.
How come every time you fly, we crash?
It's not my fault, it's the ship!
I was fine with pretty much everything until the 1 minute and 40 second mark. And then Ahsoka just spews lies and throws mud on Anakin. And it's like, oh, We're back to watching this show. And again, we keep talking about this is not banter. This is her being like, what are you doing? You're such a screw up. And he's like, it's not my fault. We're getting attacked. Like the tone of their voice, there is nothing bantery about that. This is not a, oh, look at them poking at each other. This is so fun. No, this is her being completely disrespectful and him in the middle of a very stressful situation snapping back at her because she's being a jerk to him.
Would we just take out the line?
Yeah, I'm thinking I would just remove it. It doesn't really serve any purpose other than showcasing again what a jerk Ahsoka is.
Ready to eject.
I feel like we should fix the ready to eject, and it's just like, okay, are you just like, stressed from the G-forces, or like, what's going on? If you made it clear that it was like from the G-forces and everything like that, then I'd be fine with that staying how it is. But because her last line was also in a really bad tone, I can't tell if it's just a continuation of that bad tone or if it's because of something else. Like, she sounds angry about having to eject, and I'm just like, okay, you could stay in the ship if you want.
We'd all be much happier if you did.
Could move on to our Grievous series.
Yeah!
Okay, I love the balloon ejection things. They're so cute.
I know. I want to go ride in
I guess
one.
they're more like beach balls. They're more like beach balls than balloons, but like still, they're super cute. Why don't they have this Disney World or whatever it is? Just throw people in gigantic beach balls and let them come crashing down.
Yeah.
No liabilities
No,
whatsoever.
You always blame the ship.
And that line would go too. It's so stupid
That's
because like
such-
they're again trying to set up this thing that we have never seen, where Ahsoka thinks overall that Anakin's a terrible pilot. Anakin always blames the ship. She always uses like those words. Oh well, you always say that. You always do this. It's BS.
You can't have a character saying, oh, always this or always that, if you haven't even shown it once. And it's like, again, they were attacked, part of their ship exploded, and she's like, oh, he always blames the ship. It's his fault we're crashing. It's like, okay, are you stupid? How is this Anakin's fault? Like, I'm a little confused as to why Anakin blames the ship instead of, the vulture droids that were attacking them. But still, Ahsoka's the stupidest one here because she's blaming Anakin.
It's kind of bleeding over from the last, like what they set up in Lightsaber Lost, where they kind of have this blame the victim mentality. Anakin was the pilot, so obviously it's his fault. His ship got hit, it's obviously his fault.
It's just so bad.
We can't just wander around aimlessly. We need a plan.
You always taught me to go on instinct, and my instincts tell me to go that way.
No, that doesn't seem right. I think we should go this way.
Why do you even ask for my opinion?
I really don't have any problem with the interaction between Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's pretty typical. It's also a great example of good banter. Because every single time Anakin and Obi-Wan interact, they have great banter. Okay, not every single time they interact, but when they banter good. I really don't understand the whole gigantic creatures walk past and don't even notice them at all, but like, it's like, okay, I guess it's supposed to be like, ooh, dangerous planet, can't just go wandering around, even though obviously there's no danger because they'll walk right by you and not even notice you.
Yeah, that part is a little weak.
I mean, again, they don't really have time to have a whole, like, fight with these gigantic monsters, so, like, I feel like it would have been better if the monsters were a little further away so that it was more, like, close enough that you can see them, see how big they are, things like that, but not close enough that if they literally just flicked their eyes to the side, like, even their peripheral vision should have spotted these guys. So if you had these guys like behind something or underneath something, or they were just a little bit further away so that the lower foliage could obscure them from view, that would work much better. You'd still have the same effect. Like, okay, there's these huge things. We don't know how aggressive they are. And, we better be careful. And the only reason that we weren't attacked was probably because they didn't notice us because we were hidden behind this or under this stuff. Whereas right now, they're literally just standing out in the open and, nothing.
We have said before where we're fine with Ahsoka's line at the end of this scene where she points out the smoke trail and she's like, we should go towards that. But her expression throughout Anakin and Obi-Wan's banter and her very I am above you attitude here is big no.
I would actually maybe give her some lines in the banter so that she's bantering with them, right? Because right now, because she's not partaking and she's looking at them like, oh, you guys are so cute with your little banter, but we should be acting like grown-ups, right? That's what makes this scene problematic. But if she was partaking in the banter with them, I feel that would work just as well. Rather than, they're busy bantering and she's like, okay, boys, let's get moving, right? Which is how it kind of goes here.
Yeah, then, again, she acts like the superior. So, we could have her banter with them, or we could have her intermittently trying to get their attention while they're bantering so she can point out the smoke trail.
You never do things my way.
We crashed the ship your way.
Very funny. I see your sense of humor survived the landing.
See? I love their banter. It's so good. But you'll notice that neither of their voices are stressed or angry. They are relaxed. Their tones are calm. And even as Anakin is saying, oh, I see your humor. You can hear the humor in his voice too. He's joking with Obi-Wan right now. It's sarcasm. There's humor in this moment from both of them, rather than what happened earlier where there was anger and offensive, as opposed to defensive, offensive, tone and words and everything like that. Good banter versus not banter.
If you two are done arguing, I think there's some smoke on the horizon, which means people, and a way off this planet.
So I think, again, and part of this is if you have better established relationships between the three of them, then that scene would be fine. But it's because the established relationship is one of she looks down on them, then the scene becomes problematic. So in our fixed version, either, try to have her interject a little bit or have her bantering with them, but either way, then she points out, if you guys are done, there's smoke over there. And then maybe have Anakin say, and smoke means people. And then Obi-Wan says, and away off this planet. And then they go. Rather than her saying all the lines and then Anakin kind of shrugs oh, okay, I guess we'll follow her. In the end, you have Obi-Wan take the lead because he's the one with the highest seniority. But they all kind of participate in this, oh, this is a good idea thing.
There's a village.
Maybe they have a ship we can borrow.
Anakin is literally planning to steal from these people. Though, mind you, he could genuinely mean they borrow it, they take it with asking. But the thing is, they might never return it because when are they going to come back here and bring the ship along? So it could be we will ask for it, but it won't really be borrowing it because we're never going to give it back. So you can take that line two ways. Either he's suggesting stealing it or he's let's borrow it and never return it. I really like this music.
It's kind of similar to the background music they had in Defenders of Peace and Jedi Crash and such. They seem to employ this tune a lot when they come across new villages.
It's the new village theme.
Yay!
There's one thing I learned where I grew up. If you want to know what a farmer's up to, look in their barn.
The only thing I don't get is, like, maybe my, knowledge of Tatooine is weak, but I didn't get the impression that Anakin grew up near farms. Well, no, they have the moisture farms on Tatooine, so maybe that's what he's referring to. So I live in, Canada, where we have, giant farms, so that's what I think of when I think farm, and I was like, there was no crop fields where he lived on a desert planet. But their world building is better than my brain, because they thought to themselves, well, hey, you can farm moisture on a desert planet. That would be a great crop. Dun, 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 dun. Smart world building.
Yep.
I still don't get it.
Okay, everything was fine up until that tone. I still don't get it.
Where is everyone?
Her where is everyone sounds fine. But next to the I still don't get it, it just sounds weird. It's a total tone change. She recorded it at different times. I would just adjust the tone of the first sentence so that it flows better with the second half of the sentence. That's really all there is to it. It just sounds weird. There's nothing wrong with the wording and the tone of the second sentence, so just match the tone of the second sentence a little better.
Take it easy, Snips. We don't want any trouble.
And there's one of our planes. He has to tell her, take it easy, don't react with hostility. You've got a gun to your head.
We don't want any trouble.
She gives him a weird look there.
Yeah, see, that's my problem with this moment. It's not that she's tensing up and she's afraid because there's a gun to her head. It's she's tensing up, getting ready to respond with hostility. And then when he tells her to take it easy, she kind of still has this angry look on her face, right? It's anger in her body language, her response, and her reaction when Anakin tells her to take it easy. It's not, oh crap, we've been taken by surprise, there's a gun to my head, okay, what do I do? Okay, Master's telling me to calm down. It's not uncertainty, it's not concern in the moment. It's anger and hostility. So I would make it clearer that she's concerned in that moment. She's tensing out of oh crap, what do we do? How do we respond? And then Anakin tells her, take it easy. And then she relaxes, but not oh, okay, everything's fine, kind of relaxed, but okay, I'm untensing.
4-on-1 is hardly a fair fight, even for a Jedi.
4-on-1? You mean 4-on-2?
We don't count you, knee-high.
Do you count me?
When Anakin tells her to take it easy, she very slightly moves her hand away from her lightsaber. When they don't count her, suddenly she straightens up and relaxes. Oh, hey, whoa, you're not counting me? Why aren't you counting me? Aren't I threatening? I'll show you that I'm a threat.
Obi-Wan's reaction makes sense because, yeah, he walks in there and he sees people holding guns to Anakin and Ahsoka's heads, and so it makes sense for him to go for his lightsaber. But Ahsoka's just being an idiot and literally just pouncing on the chance to show hostility, because Anakin takes a lot longer to pull out his lightsaber.
Anakin pulls out his last.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan walks in on, but he's holding it in a non-threatening way. He's just saying, hey, I'm ready. If you want to fight, I'm good to go. But he's not holding it threateningly. And then Ahsoka turns her lightsaber on, and then a couple seconds later, Anakin turns his on.
But what Ahsoka is
Ahsoka's
so
he has his on,
stupid
I'm gonna
because
put mine
she's escalating.
Exactly. She's Anakin was trying to de-escalate the situation, and then Ahsoka starts escalating it. How does she learn from him? What does she learn from him?
Nothing.
Because I'm not seeing from him. I'm seeing working in opposition to his example.
Because it's so dumb. You're right. Obi-Wan's kind of holding his lightsaber in a non-threatening way, and like Ahsoka's still got the barrel of a gun right up against the back of her head. If she had ignited her lightsaber and that bounty hunter had been like, oh, okay, pull the trigger, everything would have gone to hell.
Yeah, she's in no position to be like igniting her lightsaber right now. That is absolute stupidity on her part. Because she is showing aggressive force by turning it on. Honestly, I don't think it even makes sense for Anakin to turn his on. Because again, as soon as you ignite it, it's a show of aggressive force.
I feel like he's almost like submitting to Ahsoka's lead again. Oh, Ahsoka did it, so I have to do it.
Yeah, if someone's got a gun to his Padawan's head, there's no way that he would be able to help Ahsoka with his lightsaber before that bounty hunter could pull the trigger. His best would be to force push the gun so that it misses Ahsoka, but even that is a risk.
I would have Obi-Wan come in, and then Anakin kind of gestures to him like, hey, put that away. Ahsoka's in a very perilous position here. We need to de-escalate.
You could either do that, or you could do it that the bounty hunter is not holding it directly to Ahsoka's head. Like, maybe she turns when Obi-Wan comes in. Like, Ahsoka's kind of totally done if a fight breaks out right now. I mean, she could try to dodge, but I mean, when a barrel of a gun is right up against your head, you can't really dodge that. So how we would fix it, obviously, I wouldn't have Ahsoka react to them saying 4 against 1. If you wanted some sort of reaction, I would have it be a quiet reaction. Like, she just kind of says, maybe she kind of looks at her hands and is like, isn't it 4 against 2? You know, like holding out her fingers, or like, you know, or you could just have her like, have like a confused look on her face for a moment, and then like kind of mouth like, what about me? Like, that's at most the reaction I would have. I would not have her actually say something. And then that would have to change Obi-Wan's line then, because his line only makes sense if Ahsoka says something. I guess you could have her say, you know, like 4 against 1. What about me? And then the Serapis says, you know, we don't count you. And then Obi-Wan can have his line. I mean, the other way you could have it, though I probably wouldn't do it this way, but the other way you could have it is she does say, you know, you mean 4 on 2. And they say, we don't count you. And then she glances toward the door. And that's when Obi-Wan comes in saying, you know, do you count me? Basically, she's not referring to herself when she says 4 versus 2. I don't think I would do it that way, but that is a way you could do it.
We are saved.
Saved?
Why does Ahsoka question that?
I think she's stupid enough to not realize that maybe they're all hiding because they're in danger and need saving. Because there's 2 ways you could take this. Like, wait, Jedi don't save people. Why are you saved? Because Jedi are here, which is totally stupid. Or you could be like, saved? What do you don't, why do you need saving? Saved from what? It's like, well, you know, ugh.
She literally remarked like a minute ago, oh my goodness, they're hiding and they're terrified. Obviously,
Right.
They don't need to be saved from anything.
If you wanted to fix that line, have her say saved from what? Or just remove the line entirely.
I would just remove the line.
Excuse me, but help you with what?
What's with
Pirates.
the tone?
Yeah, it's like, again, this tone like, hey, I'm owed an explanation because I exist. Catch me up to speed, please. Well, no, you're not owed anything.
Like, why is her tone always so aggressive? Why?
Well, the other thing is that it's not an excuse me, it's an excuse me. Excuse me. Like,
Yeah.
again, it's the, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me tone of voice, instead of like a sorry for interrupting kind of excuse me. And that's what I would change it to. I would be like, you know, excuse me, what do you need help with? rather than excuse me, I'm trying to talk. What do you need help with? So yeah, there's nothing wrong with what she's saying. It's how she's saying it, which is the problem 90% of the time. Why is tone so difficult for these people? Again, this is not sass. This is not someone who is confident and secure in themselves. This is someone who's just a total toxic words I'm not supposed to say because you'd have to bleep them out. Bleeping face. Moving on.
Pirates.
I love that moment.
I know!
Pirates. And just the way he pulls the gun down. It's so good.
I know.
It's so good. It's supposed to be dramatic. It's just funny. I love it.
Silum farming is a meager trade.
When they were walking into the village, Obi-Wan commented that the Silum is very valuable. And then this guy's saying, oh, it's a, simple, meager crop. It's, there's nothing to it. We're barely making ends meet. Here's the problem. It's that in the real world, you can find these situations. The farmers are paid diddly squat. And the markups happen down the road, and it's somebody else who's getting all the money. It's not that this is unrealistic. It's that it's not shown well. It's very difficult to kind of catch that because their lines are so far apart. And you have Obi-Wan saying, oh, this is very valuable, so that when this guy says the pirates are stealing this crop, it makes sense to the audience. But then you have him being all like, oh, we have barely anything. And nobody kind of notes that it's like, wait, how are your funds so meager if this is such a valuable crop that you have pirates robbing you? Like, I feel like there's just a little bit more that needs to be said to make this work. Because as it is, it's very vague and seems contradictory. Shut up.
Say anything.
It seems very contradictory as it is because it literally goes from super valuable crop that pirates want to steal to this is just a simple meager crop that we can barely afford things. It's not that it's a bad setup or anything like that. It's just that it needs a little bit more to make it okay. Now I'm getting torn. My brain is like, but that's exposition. So if your audience has two brain cells to rub together, you don't need to spell it out for them. Decisions. Do you add a little bit more to make it clear that these guys are being gypped out of the value of these crops?
I would.
Or
personally, I would. It would actually make sense because Ahsoka as the audience surrogate, it would make sense for her to ask about it. And then, yeah, it could be explained in literally like 2 or 3 sentences and then move on.
Yeah, I would have it like a quiet conversation between her and Anakin later. I would remove Obi-Wan's line at the beginning and then have this. And then later, as Ahsoka is talking to Anakin, she says, why would pirates want to steal, something like this? It doesn't seem very valuable. These people are living in borderline, poverty, or, their living is very simple and meager. And Anakin can be like, no, this happens a lot, where the people that buy the crop mark it up and it's actually very valuable, but they do not pay the farmers properly or something like that. Just a very simple, quick explanation that teaches Ahsoka a little bit more about the world and, the problems that are occurring under the Republic, and maybe she could make a comment like, why can't the Jedi do something about that? And then his response is something.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Because we're trying to build up to the end of season 5, where Ahsoka's kind of disillusioned with the Jedi and realizes that that's not for her. So this again, you want to be building toward that in small ways, and this would be a good opportunity to have a build toward that in a small way. Realizes that the Jedi are not as effective as is to be believed. So that, you know, in some ways the Jedi are limited.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that is so rarely raised throughout the show. So yeah, they literally just come up with all these BS reasons where Ahsoka's like, oh, Ahsoka's the victim, poor Ahsoka! And then season 5 rolls around like, the Jedi are terrible because they're so mean to Ahsoka. Oh my goodness, she has to leave now. They're so sad. Whereas, like, yeah, they very rarely have any legitimate reasons raised so that her leaving the Jedi is justified at the end of season 5. Which, spoiler
Yeah, because
alert,
a lot
it
of people
currently is
say that her leaving the Jedi is because she became disillusioned with them and, you know, wanted to actually do something to help people and blah blah blah, and being a part of the Jedi wasn't going to further that goal. And it's like, okay, but none of that has been shown. That's just your own brain coming up with reasons to defend the image of Ahsoka that you've been sold and that you want to believe in. The reality is that the only reason that we have been shown for her to be disillusioned with the Jedi is because they did not bend over backwards to accommodate her. And that's very self-centered, very Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka is going to become a verb.
Yep. How very Ahsoka of you.
I guess technically that would be an adjective.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it works both ways.
We couldn't help even if we wanted to.
What? Master, these farmers are in trouble. Why can't we help them?
What is with that look?
She's not even looking at them. Her back is turned to them. Her arms are crossed. And she has a totally self-righteous look on her face. And her tone is angry, like they've made a decision not to help because they're jerks. And she wants to help because she's such a good person. So she should spit at them because they're such bad people.
I would like nothing more. However, we need to report that the medical station has been destroyed. If we stay too long, the Separatists will show up looking for us here.
But
better they get robbed by pirates than attract the interest of General Grievous and his horde.
pirates!
I love how they make it so that Ahsoka doesn't have to respond to that. Because he's absolutely right. If the Separatists come here looking for them and find this, it's going to be way worse for these people than just getting robbed by pirates.
Yeah, well, we saw what happened to the Lurmen. And the Separatists weren't even aware that the Jedi were there.
Again, Ahsoka is not seeing the big picture.
Which Anakin tried to teach her back in season 1.
Would we want to change it to my suggestion of this being a conversation between Ahsoka and Anakin, like her asking about like why the pirate, like we could work this bit into what I was suggesting earlier of Ahsoka questioning how the farmers are living such meager lives if their crop is so valuable. Because then what I would do is I would have it that Ahsoka and Anakin are maybe outside while Obi-Wan is inside talking to the leader. And so like Ahsoka and Anakin are maybe just inside the door so they can hear, but they're not, like, they're far enough away that they can talk quietly without interrupting the main conversation. So Ahsoka overhears the, well, actually, no, because he already told her the pirates. So, yeah, you wouldn't even have to, you could just have it that Ahsoka and Anakin are outside, and Obi-Wan is talking to the leader. The leader explains some stuff, and you kind of jump back, like, so they're having conversations that complement each other, but they're separated. And so Obi-Wan's having his conversation inside, they're having their conversation outside, and then they kind of come to a climax together where Ahsoka kind of is like, well, why can't we help? While Obi-Wan is saying, I'm sorry, we can't help. And then maybe Obi-Wan gets up and joins them while Anakin is explaining jurisdiction or whatever, and then Obi-Wan adds, well, that's part of it, but it's also that right now we can't help because we've got a job to do. Like, again, Ahsoka just completely gets why they are here. It's like the mission they came here on doesn't even matter. All, the medical bay that is missing, potentially destroyed, who cares? That's not what's important to Ahsoka, so it's not important. At the very least, Obi-Wan kind of says, well, hey, we have a job to do, that's why we're here. But he's not really calling her out for completely forgetting about that. So it kind of works and doesn't work at the same time. And then, he makes a good point about they would be alerting the separatists to this village and potentially making it a target.
Maybe instead of having Ahsoka be like, oh, we should help them, just have her be like, is there any way that we can help them? Because, that way you're showing that she remembers they have a job to do, but she still wants to do what little she can.
I'm not sure how you would structure the conversation, but yes, all those points could be brought up in one way or another. And then I would have it that maybe Obi-Wan is kind of trying to brainstorm something they could do to help here without attracting too much attention or neglecting their other duties. And then this person comes up running pirate. Or you could just kind of have it end with Ahsoka asking, is there nothing we can do to help? And Obi-Wan and Anakin look like they're about to respond, and then the guy comes up running up shouting, "Pirates, pirates." Yeah, because currently how it is, it's literally just dodging for Ahsoka so that she does not have to respond to Obi-Wan's valid points.
It's amazing how the writers jump through hoops to accommodate her.
The pirates are back!
Why is she glaring? She's glaring at him! Why?
Yeah, I love Obi-Wan's face.
She's like, ah!
I didn't come here to see you. I was just, his peace dealings with Honda was like, oh no, not you again.
And Ahsoka's just glaring as per usual.
We don't break deals.
We recorded the reaction episode for Ventress going with the bounty hunters, and we were talking about how her breaking the deal would affect the bounty hunter's reputation. So here we're shown that yes, that would be the case. That, I mean, obviously different bounty hunters would care to a different extent about their reputation. But I would say for the most part, a bounty hunter's reputation about getting the job done is literally the most important thing to them, because if you can't get the job done, if that's your reputation, you will not get hired, and you need to be hired in order to get money to buy food. So it makes sense that the bounty hunter's reputation is the most important thing to them, and Ventress soiling that by breaking the deal, and then she's shown being like friends with one of the bounty hunters later, and it's like, I'm sorry, this doesn't make any sense. And the thing is, they must have had, like, I know I'm digressing here. They must have had to wait until Boba Fett came back, and Boba Fett probably came back with like an escort, and the fact that they didn't immediately turn Ventress over to their employers for punishment or whatever have you, it doesn't make any sense that Ventress just like Boba Fett comes back and they just like take her home and she just like moves on with her life, and then she's friends with one of the bounty hunter girls, and it's like, it doesn't make any sense. The way they ended the episode is like they didn't know where to go. So they just ended it there so they didn't have to deal with the repercussions of what they set up.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
You better hurry, old man, before things start to die on you.
I love Hondo. Again, he's a bad guy, but he's a great character.
You are in way too deep.
Said the peacekeeper who fails to keep the peace.
Snap, 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 snap. And again, if you were using this episode to help further this undertone of Ahsoka kind of learning that the Jedi are not what she was raised to believe they were, that would play perfectly into that. You could just have this very subtle undertone of Ahsoka kind of like learning more about what the Jedi influence is in the real world. And they've already had opportunities for these things that, again, they never take, because you don't even see Ahsoka react to that. And in previous episodes, when she did hear stuff like that, her immediately response was to like get defensive and angry, which, I mean, that's not completely unrealistic, right? If someone's grown up with something and they have this idea in their head of like what their community is and what it stands for and everything like that, and then somebody challenges that, then it makes sense for someone to be like, whoa, what are you talking about? Like, that's not what you could do it that way. Personally, again, because of the community she's grown up in, I wouldn't do it that way, because that shouldn't be her attitude, because she was raised not to be like that. Backstory, it's important to keep in mind, because Ahsoka doesn't have a backstory, which is why they do whatever the heck they want with her. Oh, I get it. It's 3 Jedi and 4 bounty hunters. It's 7 samurai. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, okay.
You think I'm only worried about my profit. Is that it?
The thought had crossed my mind.
So, in your mind, I'm just like any other pirate.
Am I wrong?
Not entirely. But it is easier to protect the villagers and the Silum if they're both in the same place.
Then might I suggest...
You might suggest anything you like, General Kenobi, but I know what I'm doing, and I will keep these people safe my way.
Again, in dialogue, when you have 2 different perspectives, and like, you know, this is a great way to create drama and tension in internal ways. In terms of internally in a group of people. Quite often, what I see more and more is stories with characters who, they're not perfect, but all of their flaws happen externally from their group. Like I was reading a story not that long ago that you have this group of characters, and they're not perfect people. Like, you know, one is like a hot head, loud mouthed, you know, she swears a lot, and the other guy has, you know, a temper. But it's like all of their flaws are only directed at people outside of their group. Inside of their group, that loudmouth, hot-headed, swearing girl is, you know, really sweet and understanding, and she like she notices when one of the actors is like feeling down, and she like nudges the guy with the bad temper, and he goes and talks to that person and like is saying all really like, you know, mentally healthy things and helping this person, and like, so they're characters with flaws, but at the same time they're perfect characters because they always say the right thing, they're always acting nicely to each other, they're always, you know, like doing the right thing. And it's like we've come into this weird kind of age of storytelling where people want to see characters that are politically correct and mentally healthy and everything like that, but they want characters who are flawed because perfect characters aren't good characters. And so you have this weird balancing act now where people are creating perfect characters internally in the group, but they still have those flaws, but the flaws are only external from the group.
I'm gonna be
and
honest,
I feel
I have not noticed that at all.
okay, well maybe I'm just reading all the wrong stories.
You should read Game of Thrones.
Considering when Game of Thrones was written, like when was the last book that came out? It's been several years, hasn't it?
Oh wow, it was that long ago?
Stuff that is being currently written is kind of the stuff I'm referring to. Either which way, my entire point here is that this moment was a good example of internal conflict between characters because they don't see eye to eye and they have their flaws. She's being completely real here. She's like, yeah, I'm not doing this out of the goodness of my heart, but I'm confident that I can do this and I'm going to do it my way. And, you're not even really here because you are saying, oh no, we have to leave. We can't help. Right. So either you're in or you're out. Right now you're talking like you're out. So I'm going to be in charge of this. Stop trying to tell me what to do. And he's all like, oh, but we should do things this way. And this is what's needed and blah, 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 blah. And right. And so, yeah, you have these conflicting beliefs and codes of conduct and everything like that. And it makes for good dialogue. We're rooting for both of them, but both of them have things that they're right and they're wrong about.
Serapis! It's too heavy!
May I point out that, again, they don't show us that he's struggling. But she swoops in, oh, it's too heavy, and knocks him out of the way.
Not to mention, why was he even doing that? Because
I think they're going to use them as barriers.
Yeah, no, because he just walks away here and doesn't do anything with it. Oh, I guess the point purpose is served. Ahsoka has gotten her chance for heroics. Moving on.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's happening here. The point I was trying to make was, again, she's showing doubt in other people's capabilities. And this time she's quite literally tackling them like, you can't do it. I have to save you.
When there was zero indication that he was experiencing issues until after she tackled him.
So if you wanted to have that moment, I think it would be better to have you hear some creaking and snapping from his suit, and then he's like, uh-oh, or help. And then she comes running and, tackles him to help him out of the way.
I wouldn't have her tackle him because that literally makes no sense. If he's under that immense amount of pressure, then her trying to tackle
she would just crash into him.
Squat. Yeah, and then she'd probably fuck
you're
his
absolutely
legs, and then he'd die.
No. The thing is, with her amount of mass, she would just crash into him and hurt herself.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So it would make much more sense for her to force push him out of the way. Or to use the force.
I was gonna say to use the force to lift the thing up so that he has some breathing room.
I think it would be a bit much for her to lift it, but I think for her to kind of push it over so that it falls beside him, and she, with his help, she's push, and and you could even have some of the villagers help or something. But yeah, just the way it is, it's literally just let's have a moment where Ahsoka looks good. And then the other thing is the reason they are doing this is because earlier, Serapis said, we don't count you, twerp. And now they're showing, oh look, Serapis is really a twerp. But Ahsoka's so forgiving and sweet. And so she's basically saying, yeah, see, I may not look it, but I'm tough. And, you judged me wrong, but I'm going to be nice in return to you. And that's what this entire scene is showcasing, that he was wrong about her. And it's not a bad message. I think it's good to kind of have it that, you know, he has this false mentality that, you know, you've got to look tough and stuff like that. And someone is telling him, no, you can be tough even though you don't look it. Right? That's not a bad message. It's just the reason they are doing this between his character and her character is because of that line earlier, and it's to show him up and show that, oh, see, Ahsoka's so great and she's so tough and she's so, you know, she's such a hero and such a good-hearted person. Yeah, no, I wasn't doing anything here anyways. I was just here to showcase.
Would get rid of the shrug and the weird look she has afterwards, because it just makes no sense in the given context.
Yeah, no, he thanks her and she's just like, oh, well, you know, I guess he's learned his lesson now. That was funny. He's so small inside that big suit.
What is wrong with these writers?
I don't know, but he says thank you, and she just says you're welcome, and she smiles. She walks away, and he starts working on the thing that he was just cutting down because there was a reason he was there cutting it down. Maybe she's shrugging because she's like, oh, I guess he didn't have to do anything here. He was just here. I still don't get it. Kid show.
Get him inside. We'll hold them off as long as we can.
They've been showing us that she genuinely cares. Yes, she's getting paid to do this job, but she genuinely cares. And she kind of comments earlier to Obi-Wan that, you know, it's not that she's entirely here out of the goodness of her heart. Like, she is here for a paycheck, and that's not to be downplayed. But they do also show us that, like, she does genuinely care. And so I don't know, I really like her character. She's cool.
Yeah.
This effort is no longer profitable.
I love that moment so much. It's just like you literally have like the choir crescendoing in the background, and you have like this really big upshot toward him, and he's like speaking so like just like, oh, it's so good.
Hondo would totally fit into Megamind's supervillain category.
Yes.
He's got presentation, and he's got that spaceship. That spaceship really helps.
We didn't save your village cases. Your people did.
For the first time in my memory, they didn't praise Ahsoka as the sole hero. I was half expecting Anakin to be like, no, Ahsoka is the real hero. That's usually what happens in those circumstances.
Yeah, very true.
But wow, they actually gave credit to someone else. I'm shocked and impressed. But I'm also wondering, okay, where are the bounty hunters? Why isn't he thanking them? Because they played a big role. Like, she's standing right beside them, but when he was saying thank you, the framing was just Anakin and Obi-Wan. And he was just looking at them. Dude, I'm standing right here, and you're not even looking at me, including me in your great, your gratitude.
This show has a very difficult time giving credit where credit is due.
I seem to find myself light on company. Still need that ride back to the Republic outpost?
So the other two bounty hunters, the other one bounty hunter died. The one who had her gun to Ahsoka's head. She obviously died. I don't remember where or when.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why she says she's light on company. She's like, oh, I went down one person, so I can take 3.
That makes sense. I hope there's, not a weight limit on that ship.
But what I find interestingly convenient is that the bounty hunter that put a gun to Ahsoka's head is the one who dies.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. Oh my goodness! Wow.
She was doing some snipering and she got taken. I don't remember where, and I'm not going to rewatch the whole thing to try and figure out where she dies. But yep, she's gone. And I'm sure they did not intend anything by that, but I just find it interesting. I mean, it makes sense. Embo is too cool to kill off. They didn't want to kill off the leader. And because Serapis had this like whole moment thing with Ahsoka, they didn't want him killed off either. And so that only left her, and she didn't have a very big role, so it makes sense that she's the one that gets taken out. But yeah, it's just funny. But there you go. This showed us that courage makes heroes, but trust builds friendship. Why is it a but? Courage doesn't build friendship, I suppose? Or
I guess.
Trust is more important than courage? I don't even know. Why is it a but? Why isn't it courage makes heroes and trust builds friendship?
We
or
never
courage makes heroes.
We never
friendship.
picked a dumb quote for this episode. We need to pick a dumb quote.
The best thing to do first thing in the morning is go right back to sleep.
And not watch this show. Good idea.
There's also this one from Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. But I'm not happy that it happened. So I'm not because it's over. I'm smiling because it's over and crying because it happened. What about the life is what happens when you're looking down at your phone, or in this case, when you're watching Clone Wars. I hate stereotypes and I hate cliche. Seems about as fitting as courage makes heroes and trust builds friendship, but trust builds friendship.
What's the next episode? And what would be a great dumb quote for the next episode? Oh wait, it's just the last like 2 episodes in the finale where Ahsoka punches Anakin and is really dumb about fighting Aura Singh for some reason.
Let's see. Yeah, the next one we have written down is R2 Come Home.
Adversity is a friendship's truest test. That's why Ahsoka punched Anakin at the end. Because she felt like there wasn't enough adversity.
Oh no, she's more in this.
Oh yeah, because R2 comes to the temple and...
Stop it! R2, what's wrong?
Ahsoka, you know this droid?
And call the temple for help, okay? Okay?
Prepare my ship. We should leave immediately.
Why doesn't Plo Koon recognize R2? Because he's worked with Anakin a lot. And R2 is always with Anakin. I mean, ultimately, there's really nothing wrong with the scene. It's just kind of weird that Plo Koon is like, what is this droid? And everyone just kind of stands there as R2 is like getting into a fight. And Ahsoka's the only one who reacts. It's like all the Jedi Masters in the room are just like, what is happening? So I feel like a little more reaction from other people would be good. But like, I just love how Plo Koon just watches it and he's just like, get my ship ready. Just like, okay, not even like discussing, we're just going right now. Done.
Some pretty serious burns, but nothing tonight in the back to tank will fix.
Ow.
What is wrong with you? At least she apologizes, but like still, if you have a brain, you would know not to do that.
Oh, sorry.
It's like, oh, I completely forgot you were injured. My bad.
Come here, droid.
I'm literally telling you how badly you are injured, and then I'm going to punch you, and then be like, oh, sorry, I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, no, that's really dumb. Just get rid of that stupidity.
It's like, this again is their attempt at banter. I'm like, this is the best you can come up with? Like, are you serious right now? Like, if you wanted, you could have her, like, pat him on the shoulder, like, try to be gentle, but he still kind of winces, and she's like, oh, sorry, like, you know, I was trying to be, you know, like, she doesn't say I was trying to be gentle, but, like, you show that, and then he winces anyway and kind of, like, looks at her like, please don't touch me, and then she's like, oh, sorry, right? So you still get that moment, but it makes more sense. Because she wasn't punching him. She was like, trying to be gentle. She wasn't being thoughtless. It's just, she didn't realize how hurt he was. She's trying to be thoughtful, but it backfired.
I can see why your master trusts you, little one. Good job.
Like coming from Mace, that's like
definitely more
the
praise than I ever
highest
get.
praise.
R2 is just great. Even Ahsoka gives R2 credit. It's like amazing.
Wow. Too bad they couldn't continue that into season 5, where she just like takes all the credit. I saved the day. Never mind about R2. I saved the day. It was all me. Me. Praise me, praise me. So next up is season 2, episode 22, Lethal Trackdown? Yeah, Lethal Trackdown.
Do we want to just write down for bounty hunters that Ahsoka learns the limits of the Jedi's influence and ability to help? That's actually something interesting. They talk about it and then it never comes up again. They're like, oh, we can't help. And then suddenly they're just helping.
Yeah, I thought
like,
that was weird too. It just goes straight from, oh, we can't help you, and then the pirates come, and then they immediately do a 180 and they start helping.
Right. And I mean, like, it's not that they, like, it kind of makes sense because they can't leave the planet unless they help, right? Because the bounty hunter ship is their only option. But then again, why don't they just, you know, they could just be like, well, hey, let's just use your transmitter. We'll get in contact with someone from the Republic and they'll come pick us up. They never bring up the fact that they're here to do a job and that every moment they spend doing this is moments that they're not getting their job done. And there's no talk about at the end of the episode of like, okay, finally we can get back to what we're supposed, like, it just, oh no, we can't help. And Ahsoka spits on them. Oh, why can't we help? You know, this is terrible that you won't help. And then they help and never talk about it again.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Well, they did the exact same thing in A Friend in Need, right? Ahsoka was like, I don't care about this important thing that was happening, so you shouldn't either. And everyone's just like, oh, okay, we don't care about it anymore. Forget about that.
It's like they have this moment of Ahsoka dumping on Obi-Wan and Anakin. And Obi-Wan gives valid reasons for why they can't help. And then Ahsoka never responds to that because they get interrupted. And so they just leave it in this moment of Ahsoka scolding them for not jumping at the chance to help. That's the way they leave it. And Obi-Wan does have a chance to respond, but like it gets interrupted. So you don't really remember that part of it. Because Ahsoka never responds to that. And it never comes up again.
It's totally great. Fantabulous. Amazing. Awful.
So, yeah, in this episode, I would just have it that she kind of learns about the limits of the Jedi's influence and ability to help. And that's really all there is to kind of fit in there. She's not a prominent character. Okay, I think we've covered everything.